Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is a series of videos that I originally shot as planning videos for this garden here in Raleigh, North Carolina about 4 years ago now. Before any of this project started. You can see what the house looked like before. You can see, I put the drone up in these videos and just showed how I laid out the garden, how I laid out the paths. And then there are a couple of videos from, I think there's 6 from the back garden, 2 from the front garden planning, and then there's a video at the end from earlier this season showing what the garden looks like today. There's a playlist on the channel called New House that you can refer to. Down below this video, I have put the timestamps for the next video. So if you're not interested in that, learning edging is in one of the videos or soil testing is one of the videos, you can just skip to the next one if you want to in this video, because it's a pretty long video overall, or you can stick around and see the entire process. The first one is about how to take a soil test and just how to get your soil pH and find out other information about your soil, send it off in some sort of kit or whatever, or take it to your extension agent. What I really want from folks to get out of that is not necessarily what do I need to do to manipulate my garden to change it to fit the plants that I want to grow, but more learn what would be the easiest thing to grow in your garden. If your pH is high, finding plants that are alkaline tolerant. If your pH is low, finding things like this Mahonia, which are, 4 acid soils. Just mainly figuring out some things about your soil so you can you can find the things that are easiest to grow in your area and not fight uphill necessarily. So anyway, thank you so much for following along with the channel. Again, there's a playlist called New House, and you can go back to the original walk around video here, right up through where the garden is here in 2024. Thanks for watching. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is going to be a series of 4 videos doing landscape prep in this small backyard. It's probably somewhere around 1/10 of an acre, something like that. I took some drone footage so we can kind of see the baseline of what it looks like today. The first step here is I'm actually going to be doing some pH testing and some soil testing. I've got several ones to compare. I want to see if some of these less expensive pH testers and soil test kits are accurate. And so that's the first part of this video. Tomorrow I'm going to paint lines on the ground where all the paths and everything are going to be, and then we'll put the drone back up and you can kind of see what's going to be patio and paths and what's going to be planted space. In the third video, I'm going to be, the spaces that are not going to be paths or patio are going to get a generous dose of compost. That I've got some compost in large bags out here on my driveway that'll be applied. And then the fourth video, I'm going to mulch it. I've got some debris piles and things where I cleared out to build this shed that I'm going to use a chipper and a leaf mulching, doing some leaf mulching and some chipping of this wood material to create some mulch. It's not going to be enough material, so I'm going to then go buy some pine straw maybe and go ahead and finish it off that way. And then we'll put the drone back up and see how it looks over the course of these 4 steps that I'm going to be doing. In this video, I'm going to just be getting some soil samples. I'm going to show you how to get some soil samples and then how I'll go about testing those. I've got 3 just basic pH meters. Actually, one is a 3-in-1 meter that measures light and moisture as well, but pH is what we're going to be primarily using it for here. I've got these little rapid tests, these ones that have the little pills in them that you use. This one, I think you can do pH testing like 10 times with this one. And then I've got a more expensive Kelway meter that I've used for years at the nursery, and I've had this one for a long time, so I trust the accuracy of this thing. But I'll be comparing it to these 2 less expensive ones that you can get from Amazon. And then I have what we won't get the results of today is actual soil test, but I'll come back as soon as I receive these 2 back. I've got a soil test, a mail-off soil test kit from Amazon right here that I'm gonna put the soil in here, and it's got a pre-addressed envelope inside of it to send the soil to them, and then they'll mail me back probably email me back the results. And then I've got my state soil test here. I'm going to put soil in here. The state facility for soil testing happens to be about a mile from me, so I'm going to run that over there today. When I get these 2 back, I'll do a follow-up video, and we'll see how this Amazon version, or this, it's not Amazon's, but was one I bought from Amazon. It's a mail-off version, how close it is to the results from my state lab right here. And so, but like I say, today we're doing soil pH. Pro Plugger has sent me their new plugging tool right here a few weeks ago. This is a new model, and it's got a heavier step on it right here at the bottom. So I figured I'd use this today to get these soil samples out of the ground. But this is a much nicer. The other one had is a great heavy made tool, but this one has a like I say, it's got a new spot to stand on down at the bottom. That's pretty nice. I'm going to go around the yard and go to about 4 different spaces. I'm going to get the debris off the top of the ground as much as possible, and then I'm actually just going to sink this soil probe down in the ground just like this. And with this soil, with this Pro Plugger, it actually holds the plug in there. You see it's still in there, and I can actually go collect several, and then I flip it upside down and it slides out, which is what it just did right there. So I can collect all the soil samples that I want or need at one time, just like that. But there's one, and I've gone down, I don't know, maybe 5 inches deep, something like that. I'm gonna turn the camera around slowly, like this, and go over here to another space in the yard and collect a second one. Don't want a lot of organic material in it. Okay, there's number 2. And then I'm going to collect 2 more, one back here and one over here. So I'll have 4 samples from this backyard. So I dumped the Pro Plugger into my wheelbarrow here, and I've mixed it together pretty thoroughly. I've gotten out a lot of organic matter, taken rocks out, that kind of thing. I mixed it thoroughly. I've got 4 different samples that are about 4 inches deep into the soil. This first test is this rapid test pH soil tester right here. You use very little soil in this. It's just a little chamber on the left there with a little line here that you put the soil in, and then there's a this little pill that you're supposed to slide apart and dump the contents into the chamber with the soil. If my hands work properly, okay, right there. Okay, so that's in there. Okay, and then we use distilled water, and they sent a little squeeze tube thing here to get the water out of my jug and into here, and there's another line here that we're filling this up to. It's going to take a couple times. Okay. Okay, one more. Okay. Then this cap goes back on it like this. Okay, so we've got the water filled up. We got the soil filled up to that lower line. Then that pill went in there, and then we filled the distilled water up to that second line, and now we mix it and we wait just a minute. I'll be right back. So the rapid test one is actually telling me that this is only slightly acidic. It's only 6.5. So we'll see. The color changes inside, and the closest color to it right now is 6.5. I've waited 3 or 4 minutes on that one. The next one here is this 3-in-1 soil moisture, light, and pH tester right here. I've got it right here. This one you can stick directly in the soil, in the ground. I'm going to use a cup right here, and I've got this soil pretty thoroughly mixed here, and I'm going to add a small amount of distilled water to this. Not very much at all, just to make sure it's moist, and then maybe about this much. Okay, and then this meter actually just goes down in here. You set it to either moisture, light, or pH. I've got it on pH. I put it down into the soil like this, and then we wait 10 minutes, and I'll be right back with you. So I waited the 10 minutes, and this pH meter is definitely saying it's also close to 7. It's actually very neutral, which is kind of a surprise to me. I expected the soil to be very acid. There must have been a lot of lime added over the years. I went ahead and used my higher end probe that I've been using forever. Basically same thing, filled this about 2/3 of the way with that mixed soil, I put a little bit of distilled water into it and put the probe in. And with this one, you get a pretty much instant feedback, and it's a little over 6. So 7 is neutral. And so these are reading, I would say that rapid test and this Soncare, whatever, I don't know how you pronounce that. Both of those are reading a little high, but not much. This is still over 6 for sure. I got a reading of 7 on this one, on the 3-in-1 tester. I got a reading of 6.5 on the rapid test, and I'm getting a reading of 6.2 on my Kelway meter. There's going to be 2 more pH tests. These 2 that I'm sending off will also include pH, and so we'll be able to confirm even more, how accurate these are. I definitely trust, this meter. I've been using it for a long time, and but these weren't far off. I mean, regardless, they're at least, they're in the neighborhood for sure. They weren't far off from it at all. So as this rapid test is sat there, it's actually fallen a little bit more, closer to 6, which is right in line with where my higher end tool measured it. This one right here measured it a little bit high, but not too bad. I mean, all 3 of them were fairly accurate. This is a $80 tool, and this is I think a $15, $16 tool. I can't remember how much this was, but it's under $10. So I would pretty much trust all 3 of them to at least get you in the ballpark of accuracy. This mail order one right here, the soil test, and this one's going to give us all of our macro and micronutrient information. It comes in a prepaid envelope, and there's just a little container right here that you open and fill with soil, and it doesn't need a whole lot. It's one, a little scooper like this comes with it to put it in there, and then you stick it in the mail, and like I say, it's prepaid. We got this soil that we had mixed in here, which we'll fill up. Again, if there's any roots or anything, I'd pull those out. Okay, I got it here. Putting the cap back on it. Putting that down tight, and it'll slide into that envelope and just go in the mail. And that's it for that one. My state test kit, just you get a little box from them, and then there's a little piece of paper I have to fill out as well with my address and everything on it. And it actually asks me for what crops I'm growing, that kind of thing. So I'll just say shrubs and trees. I'm not growing corn. It'll ask you very specific things, and it'll give you the state will actually give you recommendations for different crops you might be growing. But this one, we just, close up the box and fill it up with soil, and then I'll drop it off over there, fill out that little piece of paper and drop it off over there. This one will probably take a little longer to come back, but as soon as it comes back, I'll have this one and this one, and we'll do a comparison test, and I'll show you, some deficiencies I'm just not going to worry about, and some I will, but I'll go over all that when I receive these 2. But this video was mainly about the pH testers, and I'm fairly impressed with the accuracy of those inexpensive versions that you can get on Amazon. There is a card to fill out and send back with the with the mail order soil test kit. Like I say, I'm going to do a follow-up video when I get these 2 full soil tests back. They'll also include pH, so we'll have a 4th and 5th. I'll have a 4th and 5th pH test from this backyard, but I believe that it's up between 6 and 7, which is slightly acidic, is probably dialed in almost perfect for most things. I have a video that I did in the past called Why is pH So Important? And if you want to go back and watch that video, I think it's fairly interesting. Soil pH determines nutrient availability. You can actually have nutrients in the ground that your plants need, but they're inaccessible based on the pH of your soil. And so, if you want to go back and watch that video, it's fairly interesting. Some plants like, very acidic soil. Most plants like soil that's about where mine is, which is super, super interesting. I'm used to having much more acid-based soils than what I have here, but slightly acid, great. Hope that gets confirmed with these 2 tests. Again, tune back in for the second part of this, because I'm going to be laying out the paths and everything back here, and the 3rd and 4th part will follow behind that very quickly. Thanks for watching. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the second video in a series of videos I'm calling landscape prep or landscape planning for this backyard space in this new house that I moved into. The first video was soil pH testing, and I was assuming my pH was going to be very low and I'd have to lime first before I did any of these other activities that I'm going to be doing. Turns out pH is absolutely perfect. I sent off 2 other more comprehensive tests yesterday, and when I get those back, you'll see a video on that, on other macro and micronutrients, other things than just pH. Today's video, I'm going to be marking using some upside down marking paint and painting this, where the sidewalks and the patio is going to be, patio spaces are going to be, and then I'm going to put the drone up and show you what that looks like from up above. Hopefully this bright orange paint shows up in the drone video. And the third video is going to be actually putting compost in areas that aren't going to be sidewalks or patios in the future. And that layer will already be on the ground. And in the future, as I dig holes, it'll just get incorporated into the ground, and it will go ahead and start improving the microbial activity in the soil even before I get to that point. The last video in this series, I'm going to be mulching this space, and I've got debris piles that of things I've cut down. I've got leaves and that kind of thing I'm going to shred and create mulch out of this material. And then it's not going to be enough. I'm going to have to actually buy some pine straw or something to pine straw this space. And then we'll see the drone from up above that. That'll be the end of this series. The last video, the mulch video, may be a few days in between before you see that one, because this is a lot of material to go through. So let's get started painting the lines on the ground, and hopefully the drone is going to do a good job of showing us that after I'm done. I painted the circle where the patio is ultimately going to go. There'll be potted plants and that kind of thing in there. There's going to be a path coming off of it, heading over here to the building. Right here. I can't run a path directly to the gate on this side. Otherwise, I'm going to cut right through my sunniest space. So, path is coming basically through here. Somewhere right in here, I will have the path branch off and go to the gate on this side. Just like that. It's going to be a new fence, but for now, it'll be this chain link fence. So somewhere right in there, and then curving back into the patio area like that. Of course, all the paths, all the angles will be curves, not straight lines like that. From here, back in this back corner where that metal shed is, there's actually going to be a greenhouse. And so in here, I'm definitely going to leave some sort of ability to get to that space, which will kind of be hidden back here, just like this. There's still a tree, a redbud here that you can see that's got to be taken down, and it'll be right in the middle of this path, really. Just like that. On this side over here, we need ability to get to this other gate on the other side, and so somewhere right in here, that one goes to there. And same thing, we want to bring these paths in and just curve them into this patio space. But there's basically 2 branches off of this. Back here, right in this space right here, is going to be a water feature and a raised wall area, which is going to block the view from this back corner. So I went over it with the paint one more time so it could be seen a little bit better. Again, this is going to be some form of patio. There's going to be plants in it as well, but it doesn't need compost on the ground. This path here will split 2 different directions, one to the gate, one to the shed, and I have not used up any of my full sun summer space over here where these debris piles are currently. That's where the best vegetable growing can take place in the summertime in this yard. I've got this path going back here, which is going to lead back to where the greenhouse propagation area is going to be. It's actually going to end up being screened off by this water feature and raised bed right here. I'd like to create kind of a a situation where when you're in this patio that you can't necessarily see everything out from it. You've got to get up and actually explore in order to find things in this backyard. And then there's going to be obviously a path that I got to get to the other gate over there. So this is the basic layout. Everything that's not inside this orange markers is going to be compost. That's going to, like I say, that's going to happen tomorrow. There'll be some space I can't do yet because the debris piles are in the way, but that's where we are. Thank you very much for watching this video. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the third video in what I'm calling landscape prep or landscape planning for the backyard at this new house that I moved into. The first video was about soil testing. The second video was painting the lines on the ground for the layout of the paths and patio and that kind of thing, what's bed, what's not. This third video, I'm actually putting out this organic humus or compost on all the spaces that are going to be planted in the future. I'm going to use a generous amount of this product here. This is a company called Soil Cubed. I've had these 2 bags for a few weeks now. It's been in some Instagram photos I've done, and I've used it to plant the few things that I've planted in the yard so far. I'm going to be just putting a generous layer of this on the ground, and then it will get incorporated as I plant in the future. This is a really beautiful compost here that will do several things for me. One, it's going to hold moisture in place. I'll have to do less watering. It's great for increasing drainage in clay soils, and I do have heavy clay soils in this backyard. Using compost like this will reduce the amount of fertilizer I'm having to use. And so there's a lot of benefits from it. It's going to increase the microbial activity in the soil, which is great for helping with disease issues potentially, and also making nutrients available as well for plants, because a lot of times nutrients can just flat out be locked up. And so a lot of benefits to it, and I just want to go ahead and just spread it out here and have it in place, and then I'm going to be mulching and pine strawing over the top. I'm just going to pull my mulch or pine straw back in the next few weeks as I plant through the winter, and as I dig holes, this will get incorporated into the ground. That's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to just use my Gorilla cart. And these are plastic bags. I'm just going to cut down the side of it, put my Gorilla cart right next to it, and push it in there. It really works well with a flat shovel. Really well with a flat shovel. You can see how loose, this material is in this bag. It's been sitting on my driveway for 2 or 3 weeks, and it's still this workable. Without having done anything to it beforehand. I've got some pansies and some ornamental cabbage and kale that I'm going to be putting in some pots out here on the front porch. And at that time, we'll show you how I use this compost and incorporate it into some bark and make my own potting mix for that as well in the next week or two. But for today, I'm just going to be spreading this out, and I'll put the drone up a couple times and let you see how it looks down on the ground. So that didn't take long at all. I did not do this area that's over here because all the debris piles are there. All that stuff needs to be chipped up. I still have about a half a bag of compost Thanks very much to Soil Cube for participating in this video. This material is really fantastic, and if you're in the North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina area, I'll link their website down below. If you're not, see if there's something in your area that's similar. Putting down this compost to start with here is definitely going to save me a lot of time and thinking as I go forward planting the rest of this winter and next spring. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I hope it's very interesting from the drone perspective. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the fourth part in this landscape planning series that I'm doing in this backyard, in this house I moved into in Raleigh, North Carolina. The first one was showing how I'll go about doing soil test. The second one was the layout of the space and just how the traffic flow is going to go in the future. And number three, I put out some compost here. In this one right here, I'm going to edge these lines that I had painted on the ground in the second part of this series, and just create a permanent trench edge to differentiate where this is, this patio is going to be. It's grass right now, but it will eventually be some sort of patio with potted plants and that kind of thing, and furniture and possibly some sort of covered space over top of it. Haven't decided yet. And these paths right here are going to be some sort of stone path. For now, in this video series, this is going to be turf. And the paths I'm actually going to do is pine straw, and the rest of the space will be mulch. And I had a tree service on the road one day, and I got some wood chips here on the driveway that I'm going to use for the mulch. But the reason I'm going to use pine straw in the paths for now, will differentiate two different colors, and the path will be noticeable for now. It'll be in the spring probably before I do actually lay stone for the paths. That's the reason for that. But in this video, I'm going to be edging the lines that I had painted on the ground, and I just use a trenching shovel for that. There are all kinds of edging tools. There are little half moon, very, very sharp ones that lots and lots of people like to use, especially if this is not something you've done before. I'll link one of those below. You can basically cut the line in the ground before you start to tear the sod up or tear the bed space up. I've done this long enough that I kind of trust myself just using this shovel. There are also flat ones that have little serrated edges on the end that will actually cut roots. If you have a lot of roots in your space, that may be the one to use. Then there's electric and gas edgers, all different types of ways to create a trench edge. But at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is create a crispy edge that will allow a space for our mulch just to fall up against and not end up in our lawns or not end up in our patios, that kind of thing. It just creates a nice differentiation between spaces. So I'm going to get started on it and just kind of show you my technique when I'm dealing with a new space and I'm not re-edging a space, and hopefully this will help you in the future. So I used the upside down paint and painted this line a little bit darker here. If you use, you can get this upside down paint at any of the box stores or Amazon or wherever, but it's a paint can you can hold upside down. If you use the paint to paint these lines on the ground, what I've learned is to just use long sweeping motions. You get the best curves if you just swing your arm as far back and forward as you possibly can, and you end up with the best curves, okay? A lot of people will use water hoses for this, where you can lay out a water hose to define the line. I find that in the winter when it's cold, water hoses are not very cooperative at all. It works well when the hose is actually warm, but it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't work well when it's cold. You can also use some sort of extension cord will work fine, and you can lay out your lines. You can move the extension cord around, figure out exactly how you want your curves, and then get to work on it. When I'm doing a space like this and it hasn't been edged before, I will actually come. What I'm doing here is I'm going straight down, okay, like this, and I'm actually flipping the soil out into the bed space, okay, so that my flat edge ends up on the lawn side here, just like this. So what's going to happen is my mulch is I'm going to pile my mulch here, and then when I rake it, it's just going to fall in against the edge of this little crispy edge right here. What I do is I will hit a space like this, one spot right there, and then I'll actually come back about 6 feet from it and do one there, okay? And then I figure out about where I want the arc, the top of the arc to be between those two spaces, and I do the same thing right there, okay? Then I actually come in between these two and figure out where I want the top of the arc to be and do the exact same thing right there. And then in between these two, just like that, and kick that back, okay? And now it's just a matter of connecting the dots, okay? That's how I go about doing this. Like I say, there are tools specifically made for this, but in this yard, the ground is not bad, and I'm just doesn't require it. Any kind of root cutting or anything like that right up here in the top few inches of soil. So, okay, so now I've done about 6 feet right here, and I've got a nice little edge going. Nice little curve going. I'm gonna come here now, probably about 4 or 5 feet away from the end of that, and then right here in the middle again, kick that back, right in the middle of those two spaces, and right in the middle of those two spaces. And now look at this. All I gotta do is connect these lines together. I will have to come back in here and neaten up a couple spots, you know, where it's not quite perfect, but that is my basic technique for doing that. If I come out here and just kind of follow around where I'm gonna go here, go to there, right in the center there, right in the center there. And now you can tell I've done this for a long time. You're gonna wanna stand back and look at it for a minute before you go kicking away. And then I just connect the dots together. All right, I'm going to put the drone up and show you from up high what this looks like as I move around. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm just coming down a little bit from that first piece I had done that I just showed you, maybe 5 or 6 feet, and then coming right here to the center of the arc and doing a space right there, splitting the difference again and again, and then I just connect the dots. And like I say, you won't get it perfect every time the first time, but it can be worked on. Little places that stick out a little bit or don't quite curve properly, just do them just like that. Again, I'm going to slide down here maybe 5 or 6 feet on this arc, come back to the middle, just check between these two, see where I want that to be. Same thing right here, and there we go. And again, we're just connecting dots at that point. Of course, the paint helps because I put the paint on initially. Come over here where this curve is, where the end of this is, come to the middle of it. So that's how I go about edging and differentiating the bed spaces from the turf areas or patios or sidewalks or whatever. This drone has given me the opportunity to see that places like over here on this side of the turf right here sticks out just a little bit. And so I can definitely make quick work of making that curve a little bit better there. But stay tuned tomorrow. The fifth part of this series is going to be actually mulching the spaces that are going to end up as bed space. Thanks for watching. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the fifth video in the landscape planning series I'm doing for this backyard and this house I moved into in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is zone 7B for anybody who had that question. In this video, I'm going to be mulching this backyard. I was lucky enough last week or week before last to score some free wood chips from somebody who was doing some work here on the road, so I don't have to pay for any mulch. Which is kind of nice. It's not my preferred material. It's got some pretty chunky material, mixed into it. And so it's definitely not my preferred mulch. I usually like triple shredded hardwood mulch or pine straw. Those are probably my two favorite things to use. I am going to use some pine straw in the paths back here. I've got started putting some piles out here in the backyard already. This pile's been sitting here for about 2 weeks and it's already starting to compost. Keep that in mind. If you get bulk mulch delivered like this, you want to try to get it out as quick as possible because it doesn't take long stacked in a pile if it's wet to start to compost, and it gets harder and harder to load it into your wheelbarrow and work with it. It settles down tighter and tighter, but it's much easier to work with right when they dump it out of the truck. I always try to get it dumped on some sort of concrete base like I have here, just a concrete pad, and that's also helpful in loading it. If you dump it on grass area or bed area, it's definitely much harder to load. I only use 3 basic tools when I'm mulching by hand. I've done all these things by all kinds of machines in the past, but if I'm doing it by hand like I'm doing it today, if I'm on a concrete pad like this snow shovel works absolutely fantastic for loose mulch. Look how much of this material I can get in a single scoop. Works the same way with hardwood, but sometimes you need to use a fork and just fork it down just like this and loosen it up a little bit. And then the shovel works. Look how much I can get in a single load like that. And do quick work of filling the wheelbarrow. The other tool I use is just a basic garden rake. This one has been with me for maybe 20 some years. It's bent in 9 different ways, but this is definitely the best thing for raking your mulch out after you have the piles out. I'll show you how I do that real quick. Like I say, other than having some chunky material in here that I'd probably rather not have in my mulch, this stuff will work absolutely fantastic. It's not the best thing for this video series because the color isn't that great on it. So up here from the drone, it's not going to be as contrasty with the turf color and that kind of thing as it would be if I had a darker, triple shredded hardwood or something like that. This is a perfect material to work with. I don't want this stuff mixed in the ground though when I'm planting until it's broken down a little bit. So I'll be careful to pull it back pretty far when I'm digging holes for plants in upcoming videos. But like I say, I've just always used a garden rake, and it gives you 2 things. It gives you, power to pull, the mulch anywhere you want to, but it also has some fine control, with the back of it and the side of it and that kind of thing. Because I'm trying to get it right to the edge of my bed, right where I've did the edging in the last video. And, like I say, this tool offers the best fine control for that. I've gotten a lot of questions about weeds, and most of what I have out here are annual weeds, but there are a few perennial things that will definitely try to come back through this mulch. And at that point, I'll just spray it with a 20% vinegar solution that I can get on Amazon. I showed it in a video not that long ago. It may take me a couple times spraying them, but I'll knock them down pretty quick. But I can make pretty quick work of these piles that I had put out yesterday afternoon. So, all right, I'm gonna put the drone up and bring the rest of this mulch back here to the backyard and get it raked out. Okay, that was actually a lot of work. I've actually got this mulch 5 or 6 inches deep this first time I'm doing it, and it's sitting on top of that compost. So I've put quite a bit of material on this soil just to kind of wake it up, bring it back to life. This area over here, I still got material to do that area, and all the stuff that's over there is going to get chipped up and is going in this back corner back here in a separate video. There's a video series coming soon doing shade planting, shade material back here in this back area, and then I'm going to chip that material up and put it back there. So that's what's going on with that back corner and that space over there, which will eventually be my vegetable garden. So thank you very much for watching this video. Tomorrow I'm actually going to do kind of a recap of everything I've done so far and plans that I have coming up, so you'll know what steps I'm taking from here. Thanks for watching. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the 6th video in a video series I've been calling landscape planning. This video I'm just going to bring you up to speed on what I've done so far and what I've got coming for the rest of as this backyard landscaping continues. The first video was on soil testing, and the second one I laid out the design using the drone up above, which I hope people have found interesting. The third video I put out a compost layer. The fourth video I edged all the spaces. In the fifth video I mulched, and I used this wood chip mulch that I had gotten for free from somebody locally here, and I've put down a 5 or 6 inch layer. That's one thing you're not going to be able to get from that video, is it's super thick. And then of course in this video, like I say, I'm updating, and you just saw me put down pine straw in these paths. These paths will eventually be some sort of masonry, some sort of natural stone. That'll happen in the spring. Most of the masonry work I'm going to do in the spring, because if I have to do any mortaring, it's just easier and more consistent to be able to do it when the temperatures are warm enough. Same thing going on with painting the shed over here. I'm just waiting for some warm days to get on it. I'm ready to do it. It's been a little below normal, so I haven't gotten that done. I've gotten a lot of questions on covering up the weeds with the mulch, and that is exactly what I did. If this were a landscape job and somebody was paying me to do this job, I would have gone through here and gotten rid of the weeds. They'd either been sprayed, they would have been tilled, they would have been, if it was thicker grass, they may have used a sod cutter. One of lots of different ways that I would have removed this grass first if somebody was paying me to do this job. Since it's my place, I kind of decided that I had this free material, and if I put, in November or December, if you're mulching with 5 or 6 inches of material, and the weeds aren't growing, they're very likely to rot and die over the winter time. I doubt very seriously I'll see much of what was here. A lot of it was just annual weeds anyway that were going to die, and the seeds are here for next year, but they're buried under that mulch now. But the perennial weeds that were here, some of them will pop back through, and I'll spray them in the spring with some of that 20% vinegar solution that I did a video on not that long ago. It may take a couple applications to kill it, but it'll kill it. But I don't expect to see a whole lot. And it's really based on this timing of doing this in November or December, and the weeds not actively growing, and now they've got no sunlight, and they're going to be buried under kind of a sloppy 6 inches of organic material above them, which it may actually heat up a little bit under there. It's thick enough where it may actually cook them a little bit. So anyway, that's the weed, answer to the weed issue. The front yard, I haven't really made any progress here other than the lawn. There's not going to be a lawn here. I've talked about that in the first video I ever did here at this house. But in the meantime, until I start landscaping out there, there's no reason not to have it look good. So the lawn out there looks great. There's a maple tree in the front yard that has to come down. Typically I would drop a tree on my own, but this one's big enough that it makes me a little nervous, and there's some power lines out there, so I'm going to have to pay to take this one down. It's got some serious issues. Dead limbs are falling off of it. There's mushrooms growing out of it. So that tree has to come down. And most of the work you're going to see will be in the backyard through probably spring, and then maybe toward the end of spring, we'll flip to the front yard and do the landscaping out there. The next thing we're going to see in this series is planting some shade plants back here in this corner. And I'll rotate this camera around here so you can see. We've got holly out here. This shed is finished except for paint, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to walk back here to this area. Okay, so this tree right here is coming down. This is a red bud. There'll be another red bud going in back here and one going in the front yard actually. But this one is leaning way out. It's something you won't be able to see, but because of this wooded area back here, this one has stretched way out this way, and it's an odd tree. The path is actually going to go right through the middle of where that tree is right now to a greenhouse back here. But this whole area back here, I'm about to plant, and it's going to be all shade plants. Obviously, there'll be some morning sun coming through here, but late in the day, it'll be all shade. There's going to be several videos for this. One, I'm going to go over, you're going to see a Southern Living Plant Collection video on all the shade plants, or not all the shade plants, but a lot of the shade plants in the Southern Living Plant Collection. You're going to see a group of shade plants from the J.C. Ralston Arboretum. Then you're going to see me source those plants. I've actually got 2 mail order companies sending me plants, and then I'm going to go to a garden center here in Raleigh and a wholesale nursery that actually opens on Saturdays and accepts some retail business. So you're going to see 4 different ways in which I source the plants that are going to go into this corner. So I hope that will be interesting. You can see various ways that I'll go about getting the plants. But like I say, the first 2 videos in that will be 10 shade plants or 11 shade plants from the Southern Living Plant Collection, and then a group of shade plants, like I say, from the J.C. Ralston Arboretum. Some of those I'm using in this back corner, and that video will probably be called part 7 in this series when I actually plant them back there, but there'll be some videos that are attached to it. Moving further around this backyard here, I have not removed this metal building yet. I've got some compost and some other material in here in bags that I brought from the other house. I did not put compost back here, and I'm going to use this bag products back here as my compost, and I've got some pine bark soil conditioner back in here. That's been my plan. And then this metal building can get out of here, and this greenhouse is going to go back in here. I'll probably plant some winter vegetables and go through that, show you that, and probably I may even put a heat source in there. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get that. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I'm on the clock. It's already we're already in December now. I'm making progress, but this is a big project. The other thing is the material that was behind me when I started the video is going to be chipped up and become the mulch for this space. And I've still got mulch on the driveway, or wood chips on the driveway that will go into that space right there. So there's a plan for everything, but that next job of putting these shade plants in this corner over here and the video series that's attached to that will lay the groundwork for me to get rid of this building, build that, chop that stuff up, and move that mulch on here. And then this place will be, I think I'll reach the starting line. That's what I'll call it. Another crazy thing that's happening, the whole back of the house is going to be torn off during this process. Most of the planting you see me doing for now is going to be back this way. Because up here by the house, the screen porch is coming off. There's an A-frame screen porch going on. It will have some really nice design, and it'll have a fan in there and that kind of thing. It'll shed the water. The siding's coming off the back and new siding's going on. So the whole back of the house is being remodeled basically. If the weather permits in December or January, I don't know. I hope it doesn't have to wait till the spring, but it may have to wait till the spring. So anyway, that's kind of bringing you up to date. And the next thing you're going to see in this series, like I say, is videos associated with the shade plantings that are going across the back, the plants that I'm using, why I'm using them, and how I go about getting my hands on them, even in the winter time. So again, thank you very much for watching this series. I hope you've enjoyed the drone videos, and I'll continue to implement the drone over this so you can see how your pieces start to fill in the space here. Thanks for watching. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm going to put a drone up above this front yard that I'll be landscaping over the next few months and show you kind of initially what it looks like. It's pretty bare out here. There was a maple tree here that had to get cut down and the stump ground out just a few days ago. It had mushrooms growing out of the side of it. It was on its way out. About 50% of the limbs, mostly over here on the east side, were already dead, and it was definitely on its way out. I'm going to put another tree in here. Don't know what that's going to be yet, but in this video, I'm just going to show you my initial basic layout that I'm going to do to get started out here. Eventually, this will be no turf whatsoever. There'll be sidewalks that will lead you around the house, and how I kind of want to lead people to find different spaces in this garden. This house was built in 1948 as part of this landscape project. The purple door will be different. The siding's coming off and will be updated. It's going to be a different color. The steps are being updated as well. There's eventually going to be a porch going all the way across the front of this house. That may be a year before that happens, so I'm just going to go ahead and update everything in the meantime. I did another series of videos on the backyard this exact same way. I shot the drone footage like I'm doing today at the beginning, and then had a basically dronescaping, I'm calling it, series where I laid everything out. And so that's what you're going to see in this series as well. I've got some compost here already. I had the maple ground into mulch, and so it will be the mulch. It will get repurposed right here in this yard. And so there you go. Let me put the drone up and show you this space initially. Okay, so you can see where the maple tree came out right here in this space, which was dominant, you know, way up above the house right here. The stump has been ground out. I probably won't plant anything here. Initially, I'm going to get it covered back up and compost over it. Try to get some of this wood that's in this pile out, but you won't get it all. I'm probably just going to do containers here for now. This space right here, probably from the front porch rail, I'll come like this right here and just come along this arc right here. And we'll call this a bed for now. All of this is actually going to be bed space, but for now that will be a piece, and I'm going to leave the turf in the middle and just kind of let the project come together like this. There'll eventually be a path that goes to the street, you know, right through here, you know, right to the street, so that the mailman or whoever can access the street easily. The bed space on this side for now will be right here. I'm just going to do a nice curve through there. I got this wire right there. Okay, so I have this wire from this telephone pole here that comes down to there, and I'm going to include it in the initial bed right there. There's a butterfly bush here. There's a purple smoke bush here. There's a little viburnum here. There's one of these Chinese dogwoods here, and there's a lilac here, and there's a little dwarf peach tree here. This stuff will get moved or rearranged. It'll definitely be different than it is now. But so initially, I'm going to be adding this bed and that bed over there. I have 2 bags of compost right here that I'm going to apply to these spaces, and then this is the wood chips from where the tree was cut up. I had them keep those. That'll be my mulch initially. It's not my favorite, but it's free. The fence in the back is being replaced, and the new fence is going to end up on this side coming out right here, and I'm going to have a gate here, and my trash can and my recycle bin will be here. Quite possibly there's going to be a hot tub on this patio, on this concrete pad on this side, and but so this will be encaged, and then there'll be another fence here, so the hot tub will be behind it if I'm doing a hot tub. The siding is coming off. This green siding is coming off, and hardy plank is going on, and it's going to be that same blue color that I did in the back. There's a porch going across this whole front right here. It won't happen this year, so in the meantime, I'm going to take this top piece down, paint it, power wash it, paint it, put it back up. The siding is going to be that same blue color that's in the back. The steps are going to be power washed and cleaned up and painted as well. There's some just like 12 by 12, maybe, I guess they're 18 by 18 blocks here for a sidewalk. I think I'll pull these up and just make them curve a little more this way for now. They'll definitely change to some sort of stone in the future. This driveway is brick, and the bricks are in great shape, but it has sunk down over time, and it actually collects some water on the property line. So the bricks are going to come up, and the entire driveway is going to be raised up some. Okay. On this side over here, when this addition was added on, it was actually added on as a dining room. When it was added on, it pushed the property. There's only about 5 feet of property here. And so this side right here, I've got a stone path coming around to here in the back. So, you know, I'm just going to make the stone path go along the side there, and maybe use small perennials and annuals planted within it. But I like to have a path that goes all the way around. Always drives me crazy when I do landscape jobs and somebody had a fence installed and one side didn't have a gate and the other side did, but I had to landscape in that back corner over there. It was just, when you're thinking through design, make sure that you can move. Like if someone parks here, they can get out of their car, walk straight toward the front door. If they park on the driveway, they can come to here. And from here, I want to be able to move them around to the back or move them around to the back that direction. I've got a patio back there. I want to invite people here. It might be that, you know, they park and just come directly around to the patio, but you can do it either direction. And you're just free to move. So there'll be some sort of stone path that goes through here. And like I say, from here, we'll definitely have a path that kind of goes toward this direction and one that kind of goes toward this direction. They don't have to be big formal paths. They can just be fieldstone, you know, a small path that just directs people and how you want to lead them through. There will be another tree going in. This maple was up in here, far too close to the house. I'm going to put another tree here. I change trees that I want every day, but there won't be another big giant shade tree going in here. And so I think that's about it. Initially, like I say, very quickly that's going to be composted and mulched, so I get this mulch off the driveway. Very quickly this is going to be composted and mulched. Like I say, where the stump was will be containers for now. And so that's pretty much it. So again, I'll put up the second video from this little front yard drone series in a couple weeks when it moves forward a little bit. And I'll put the drone back up each time and show you how it progresses. And if you follow my Wednesday landscape update videos, you'll see the individual pieces happen as I go. Thanks for watching. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm going to put a drone up over my front yard space and show you some landscape plans I have coming up. I actually did a similar video a couple weeks ago and showed the initial plans that I had for putting out some compost and some mulch, and those tasks have been accomplished. So in this video, I'm going to show you the next steps that I'll be doing during June and July and August to completely re-landscape that. If you haven't followed my channel or you're just finding my channel, I moved into this house roughly 6 months ago now, something like that, maybe 7 months ago, and I've been re-landscaping and doing some remodeling on the house as well. The front of the house is going to have new siding on it, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But started with just a bare slate everywhere. There's a playlist on my channel that I'll link right here called New House if you'd like to catch up. It's every video that I have created since I moved into this space. So here we go. I'm going to put the drone up and talk you through upcoming plans for the front yard. Okay, so in the first drone video for the front yard, I painted a line here on this side and said I'd be composting and mulching this. That's been accomplished. There's annuals have been planted in this section right here for now. Containers that I had in the backyard have been moved out here. Some additional containers have gone in this space. These have tubing in them so I can hook them to irrigation. I'm going to run drip irrigation throughout everything. This side over here, same thing. I painted a line on the ground here in the first video and then have composted and mulched it since. It's ready for planting. The next steps here, I'm going to put a fence, a small picket fence along the road area right here that's going to maybe be, I guess, 2.5, maybe a little over 2.5 feet maybe. And it's just going to line straight right here and with the front porch right there. And then on this side, from here, going this way, same exact thing. Okay, so there's going to be a little fence here, okay? Then there'll be an arbor right here. Just like this, right here. So there's going to be a path leading straight to the front door. The siding on the front is coming off, and new hardy plank sidings going on, and it'll be the same color as I've done the backyard, which is a blue color. Next year, I'm going to put a front porch across the whole front of the house. But for now, I'm just going to take this cover down, clean it, and paint it, and paint the steps, and it'll look good for a year. And then, like I say, next year, I'm going to put a front porch across the whole thing. Probably some sort of A-frame roof in the middle part, and then a sloped roof on this side and that side. Haven't fully decided that yet. So, walkways. My mailman has a walking route, and so he'd come in this way, or any guest would come in this way, like this, and there'll be a path leading you to the front door. Okay, everything on this side is going to be bed. Won't be any turf over there. I think I am going to leave a little bit of turf here. I'll show you that in a minute. And then this line comes to here, okay? Some sort of entry sidewalk. It may not be this wide. It may be a little narrower than this. Because the front porch is going to be on here, the steps are going to end up coming out a little wider. So in the future, the path to the driveway will need to be out here a little bit, about this far, and I'm just going to run it just like this, so that as you're walking on it, you can naturally turn left, or if you're heading out, you can, don't want to paint my annuals here. Okay. Like this. I don't think it'll be quite that wide. I think I just did that a little too wide. There's going to be 3 steps, maybe 2, let's say 2 steps for now. Step here, and a step right about here. There's quite a bit of elevation change here. I'm probably 2 feet below the bottom step over there where I'm standing. You probably can't tell that from the drone. This will have a low retaining wall right here on the edge of the sidewalk that will just fade out as the slope disappears. And over here, there'll be a retaining wall that will do the same thing. It'll fade out right in there. This will be a stone retaining wall. And the retaining wall will come around here like this. And somewhere right in here, I'm going to have the retaining wall come into this sidewalk right here. So there'll be a stone retaining wall. Obviously, I went wiggly because there's plants here, but it'll be a nice curve here. There's going to be a tree going back into this center right here, and it may be a single trunk serviceberry, but there'll be a tree going somewhere right about there. And okay, this side going this way, I think I may end up leaving some sort of piece of turf here. It's super hot out here, so it'll need to be a warm season grass. And probably Bermuda or zoysia or centipede. I probably will end up using centipede just because it has the lowest fertilizer requirements. And so just as a more environmentally friendly grass. From here, I need for the mailman to be able to come here, go to that door, and then come back out. I'll probably put a couple stones in the lawn right here, okay? I'm just gonna draw this line as the center of this space right here, just like this. There'll be some sort of informal path right here to lead the mailman out of here. And then branching off of here, I need to get to the backyard, so I'll have some sort of path that comes through here. These paths will just be informal, a stone here or a stone there to let you know it's a path, but not really a solid, any kind of solid path. I had to replace the drone battery, so you may have a slightly different perspective than you just had. This driveway, I talked about in the first video, there's a pool here. You can see how low this is. I talked about in the other video that this thing is sunk down over time, so I will be redoing this driveway. I tend to do planting when I can, when the weather permits. This hardscaping stuff like fences and sidewalks and driveways and fences, I do when it's 90 some degrees outside or it's 10 degrees outside. Those things I can do any day of the year, but I wanted to take advantage this whole spring of getting lots of planting done. I have several pieces to go in over on that other side over there already. They're sitting here on the driveway back there. So if you watch my Wednesday update videos, you'll see these things starting to be planted over here. But I think this should flow well. If you come off the porch where the steps will eventually be out to here, you can turn here and the sidewalk will get wider, flare out. So one direction toward the street, one direction toward the backyard. From here, there'll be turf here. This will all be bed around it. There'll be just a subtle hint of a path going this way. And so the mailman can go this way. I can turn this way. I need to leave this wide enough that I can get a cart through here in the future to mulch and to do maintenance, that kind of thing. There'll be, like I say, a little bit of turf here, some sort of warm season grass, likely centipede. Tiny little place, probably can mow it with a weed eater, honestly. It might be a little larger than this, slightly different shaped. In this space right here, I think I'm going to do a rain garden. Once the front porch goes on to the house, I'm going to gutter the entire house. I'm going to collect some of the rainwater to irrigate. Any excess rainwater I have, I'm going to bring it out here to this space, lower this space right here, and basically filter the water. Put a natural filtration system in here using plants before I dump it back into the world. Any excess beyond that. So I basically want to clean the water before it leaves my property. That's my goal. So I think that's it. I mean, it's a lot of project here. All the materials I use here will just be natural stone. I don't use won't be any kind of concrete pavers or anything like that. I might use some sort of paver-like thing mixed in. I don't like to do a solid one type of material. I like to actually blend different materials into my hardscaping. And the retaining wall will be some sort of fieldstone retaining wall. We'll get to that once it gets too hot in the summer to do other things. So this is the plan for June, July, and August out here, which it also includes, like I say, doing major remodeling of the exterior of the house as well. So thank you for following along with these videos. The Wednesday update videos are where you'll see most of this progress, but I will put the drone back up in a few weeks and show you where it is again. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the first video in a very detailed tour video where I'm going to go through pretty much every plant in the garden, talk about how it's performed in the garden, give you some information about it. Maybe it's something you want to add to your garden. There are a lot of plants in this garden. If you've not followed along with the channel, there are actually like 372 species. That was a really rough count that I gave one day, and it's probably near 900 plants out here, actual individual plants. There are lots of annuals, perennials, shrubs, trees, trees and shrubs that we've done interesting things to, that kind of thing. I've got the drone up above, as you can see, and I think you can probably see where I'm standing here in the front garden. I'm going to, when I walk around here, bring the drone in here closer to the front garden and just talk about, first of all, the paths that are out here and how this was done. This area, then you can see me moving up into the middle of it there. This was a turf area last year, and we came in here, got rid of the turf, added the annual borders and some perennials as well in here. This area is definitely not finished planting yet. The area back up here toward the foundation behind where the bench is definitely has a lot of opportunity. You can see the empty space out here. This was just new space that was gained this year by getting some construction done on the house, foundation painted, all those kinds of things. So again, there's a lot of opportunity there. But this path system that's in the front garden, you know, basically I've got this, you know, coming in from the street here, you know, through the little fence that was built. You know, you can come directly to the front door, or you can turn, go this way, and this path goes all the way around the house. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. And then a little path that goes to the bench over there. And then there's a narrow path here that I'm going to change in the future to some other type of material. But for now, this is the way it's been for a while. And it goes, goes over here to the driveway. And across this driveway area, we have a border along the edge of the city's property right here with lots of flowering things. This is where our blueberries are and several other things. We're going to break this garden down into little quadrants. So, one video may just be this piece along the this driveway extension piece, because there are, I don't know how many plants are just in this spot. It's a lot. And so, we'll again, we're going to go plant to plant, and then I'll divide the front garden into, into blocks. Maybe this is a block right here. Let's see. As we, I'm going to walk to the back to the back garden around the house. I've flown this drone for a long time, but it's still not the easiest thing when you're trying to talk at the same time while you're doing it. But we'll walk from here along this front garden path. There's a path here for the mailman. So the mailman can go to my neighbor's house. We have a walking mail route. And then a path that goes here. He probably will lose me as I go around this side of the house. Holly? She'll follow me. She'll follow me around here once she figures out I'm going. I bet you guys can probably see her on the path somewhere before I can. Now I should come into view in the back garden, and I'll set this camera down, and let me grab her real quick. Holly's back with me here. But so the patio went in this year, and it's just mixed materials. It was some leftover stones from some other things. All the bricks were recycled here on the property. And the trail system, again, coming from that side area, I think you can still see me walking here. I'm gonna come in closer into the back garden a little bit there so you can see. I can come around here, and the way I did the patio was the stone goes to any place where you can exit it. So there's stone here, and then there's stone going to this path, and then there's stone going to here where the there's a bird feeder here, and then there's stone going here to this path, and then stone going into the inside. So basically it's just 5 points there for the where the stone goes, and everything else was filled in. Everything else was filled in with brick. The trail system, again, I want to be able to manage. One of the main things, in garden design is to be able to maintain it. So where the van is parked, we can dump mulch or wood chips or whatever over here on the side. Let me get a little wider view here. We can dump stuff down here on the driveway, and then basically wheelbarrow it into that front through that path system, or wheelbarrow it through here. The paths are made of wood chips. The browner, darker spaces here are hardwood mulch. And the path system allows you to, navigate, over here to the building, right? And then around the back. By having an extra path back here in the back, I'm able to make these beds smaller, and it's easier to design with the beds. They're not 40 or 50 feet deep. To have a little extra path through them allows you to put in some smaller material and some other interesting things. But this path comes around through here and back to the patio. And the dogs like walking on the wood chips. I like walking on the wood chips. They're soft, so all of this is soft. The wheelbarrows actually roll pretty well on it. You wouldn't think it would, but once it packs down. There's also, because we keep adding wood chips to these paths, the paths are higher than the beds. So where I'm standing is higher than the beds, and so when it rains, the water's going into the plants and not into my paths. A lot of times you'll walk the paths down so much that the paths become low, and that becomes the way the water gets out of your garden, is by leaving your plants, going into your paths, and racing off. So again, we're going to divide all of these spaces. I'll go back. Let me show you another view along this edge. Same thing over here. There's an extension, you know, along the end of the driveway. This is where all a lot of the dahlias are. And then right in front of me here is the vegetable garden. Everything over there looking pretty good. We'll go through in this set of tour videos all the tomatoes we used. I think we have certainly over 10 varieties of tomatoes, and there's a lot of them already out there. Talk about, you know, how which ones we like so far this early in the season, and we'll break this thing down and give you a detailed view. So let me get this down here a little further in here. There you go. There's a look down on the a look down directly on the patio. So thank you guys very much. Again, this was just, I wanted to do an overhead view of the garden. And here's some a little bit of video on how far this has actually come from the original drone footage that I had up above the garden. And it's been 4 years in the making, but we've pretty much got everything laid out like we'd want. But we actually have quite a few more things we're going to be doing, some compost related things and other projects that we're going to be doing. Perhaps not before this year's over, but in the future we have several more plans and several more opportunities actually out here in the garden, and we'll discuss that during these tour videos. So again, we're going to break it down into blocks and talk about every plant in the garden. So let's get started in the next video.